Welcome, everyone. Today's talk is taken from Teachings of Christ, Volume 2, Chapter 3. I'm going to give us a few introductory comments, and then we will read some of the excerpts and discuss them. And these are really very profound and deep teachings that will give us guidance in our life. The teaching that we are going to talk about today is about establishing trusted relationships, being honest and truthful, being committed to the source of our life, not our ego, being committed to learning and to having wisdom and growing in wisdom, being trustworthy and dependable. Because who we depend on determines all these qualities. If we depend on our own ego and whims and opinions, we are not dependable, we're changeable. But if we learned to depend on our divine nature, we become truly dependable. When we follow these spiritual guidance, how does our life improve? First, we stop pretending. We pretend all the time, all of us. We think we know everything, can do anything. We look at a person, we know their race, their zodiacal signs, what they're going to do, and it's downright insulting if we just look at it. We pretend, but when we look at life from our divine nature, we stop pretending. We're honest and open and humble. Our opinions are not the last word. We are not the creators of everything. We stay open to learn, to give credit to others, remove our ego and vanity. We become trusted because we adhere to principles that are from God, not from our own whims. Do you see the difference? It's very important. Second, we exemplify in all we do the way of godliness, spiritual purity. And in doing so, we start removing our self-deceptions. When we promise, we stand by it. We honor all those who show us the way. Third, we are alive. We are truly alive. Means we are not a closed book. So much of our daily life and our opinions are based on our culture, our gender, the way we were taught. And we just spill it out of our mouths. And we become a closed book. We are the beginning and ending of everything, but when we listen to the teaching, we become truly alive because we're connected to the deeper source. We are learning, we are living, we are growing, especially as we get older. So important. We cannot stop being alive and wait for the end. This helps us see the continuity of life. Keep living, learning, growing, no matter what. Through our example, we teach. Our example teaches. As a result, our promises mean something. Our word is solid. Our love is committed. Our discipleship is active, alive, and growing. And all around us, listen to this carefully, all around us, we are a bridge. We are a bridge. We exemplify our Heavenly Father, Mother. The Ageless Wisdom teaching tells us that in order to understand the psychology and philosophy of the New Age, we need to study 4 very special books. You've heard of all of these. And these range from anywhere 2,000 to 6,000 years ago, sometimes even more. Let me mention them briefly so we can look at the context in which we are talking today. The first one and the oldest is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. You've looked at that book. If you haven't, take a look. It is all about the rules of meditation. Some sources say it is 2,500 years. Alice Bailey says even it could be as old as 10,000 years ago. So it's an ancient book as relevant today as it was then. We learn how to develop our mind and learn how to think. The second one that is a truly ageless wisdom teaching is the Bhagavad Gita. That is a story of a disciple who has to make a choice. He doesn't want to make a choice. But we all know we have to make a choice at some time in our life. And he is guided through that painful process of having to make a choice. The third one is Dhammapada. It's a collected sayings of Lord Buddha, portions of his teaching in their simplicity and talking about the middle way. And the fourth one is the New Testament, from which we will take our talk today, the New Testament. Third one is Dhammapada, Dhammapada. Okay, Dhammapada, collected sayings of Lord Buddha. Fourth one is the New Testament, and it's a collection of writings as remembered by the disciples. And they're profound. They're so simple and brief, and we'll be reading from that today. It's important to look at the qualities of the authors of these books. And I looked at all of them, and here are some 6 or 7 or 8 qualities. Let me look at them one by one. First of all, they were human beings, just like you and me. They were human beings, and they achieved the highest spiritual attainment that they could at that time. That's what makes them relevant. Second, they demonstrated in their life and teaching perfect wisdom. They were centered on livingness, continuity of livingness, and they were fully enlightened, fully. Third, they demonstrated complete purification of the mind, complete. Nothing is self-centered, nothing is tribe nation-centered, nothing is separative. Their mind is lucid and clear. Number 4, they functioned as world teacher of that time. That's how profound they were, and they continue to influence us. What? 2,000, 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 years later, that's something. And their teaching is so precise that it overarchingly goes over the political situation, the personal situation, the national situation. It just goes to the essence every time you read it. 5, they were guided by love, compassion for human beings and all of life. That's what guided them. Their teaching shows us the path of how to unite humanity into one family, to see all of creation as one, to prepare our physical, emotional, and mental bodies to live in reality, to learn how to remove our self-deceptions that lead us to pain and suffering. And they did this by living what they taught. They showed by example. And 8th, they truly respected and honored the teaching. You don't hear flippant remarks about the teaching in what they say. There is no entertainment in what they teach. There is no fun and games in what they're saying. And you see this so much in religious and spiritual groups and peoples. They learn something, and all of a sudden, it's a source for joking. The teaching is profound, and they are not to take it lightly. So our teaching today is taken from the teachings of Christ, from the New Testament, and he starts with saying he is the teacher of all. Christ is the teacher of all. What is such a teacher? Now look at this very important part. A teacher is someone who loves us, guides us, helps us evolve, grow, learn, mature, and slowly encourages us to be our true self. Do we have teachers in our life? Yes. They're called parents, grandparents, right? Parents and grandparents, don't forget. A spouse, a friend, a coworker, a partner. These are all to be modeled on the model of Christ the teacher, Buddha the teacher, Patanjali the teacher. If we model on these, we will be just like these great teachers. If we imbue ourselves with the teachings of great ones, we will build relationships with others that are eternal and build a bridge in us to the higher worlds. That is why it's sacred to have a parent. It's sacred to have a relationship with your grandparents, with your spouse, with your friends, with your co-workers. These are sacred relationships. They're based on the connection to the highest. Christ gave us a model of how to be an impactful teacher, impactful parent, impactful spouse, friend. Let us look at their guidance. The first one, look at your quote. He says, "Don't be a hypocrite." We're going to read that entire passage from Matthew 23, verses 1 through 12. We're going to read it together, and you have it in your handout. It's so beautiful that I really would like you to take this home and read it over and over, okay? Let's read it together. A warning against hypocrisy. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat." Just look at that for a minute. What does that mean? They're sitting at some high exalted chair and they're making these pretenses. Okay, look at the picture that he's painting immediately. They sit and what do? So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. Do you see that? But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Wow. Wow. Now, we've read these passages so many times in our spiritual traditions, but look, when we read it together, look what it means. Don't pretend. They don't practice what they preach. They make promises that they don't keep. Do you see how that relationship that we've established, parent, teacher, spouse, friend, how important it is to look at this and say, don't be so high and mighty and pretend that you're something that everybody has to obey. Let's look at the next one, because when we do that, what happens? Everything they do is done for people to see. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. Rabbi means teacher. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth Father, for you have one Father and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Let's stop there and take a look at what is the powerful admonition that he is giving us. And this you can apply to any relationship that you have, any relationship. First, don't be a hypocrite. Practice what you preach. Be willing to do the work. Don't just say others have to tell the truth and others have to be this and that. Be willing to tell the truth. Be willing to do the work. Don't show off. I'm a psychologist, I'm an anthropologist, I'm this, I'm that, I know everything. We don't. Humble yourself and acknowledge the source of your status. This is so important. As soon as we get a diploma or we learn something, all of a sudden, we are the source of every wisdom in the world. And he's saying, stop that. You are not the source of all the wisdom or your status. In all our relationships, be a brother, a sister, and give credit to the Creator. So important, especially in the spiritual and religious fields. It's so important. All of a sudden, people learn something and they are the experts at everything. And they make judgments, and what does that do? They typecast people, it limits people. We don't want to limit people. Always connect to the source of your wisdom and truth. It is not you. From where do we get our wisdom? We get it from books, from the experiences of others, from teachers, pastors, leaders, parents, and our own agony that we go through, we learn. Christ is showing us to give credit to our source. And when we remove our ego and we stop thinking we're the source to everything, I think something very interesting and important happens. We are not so touchy. You know, we're not so touchy. We don't take offense at everything. We have instead confidence, self-confidence. This is what I know because this is what I've learned, but I'm open to learn more. You see, this is what you're saying. We don't seek approval from everybody. What makes us beggars, emotional beggars? We don't want that. We are good, considerate, because we're connected to God and not to the opinions of others. Okay? When we are at the mercy of the opinions of others, we are really not stable. When we are stable, it's because we believe in who we are and we are one with the source. Okay, so anytime you feel a little wobbly, happens to all of us, okay, a little wobbly, just center yourself and say, I am one with my solar angel. I am one with the source, and that source is going to guide me through this. Do that and just be silent, okay? Now, let's go to the second one. I'm going to say a few words before we read. The second indication of a true teacher is this: the solid self-image that acknowledges a relationship. In full confidence, Christ can say, I am the path, the truth, and the life. What would it take for us as parents, as friends, as teachers and grandparents to say, look, I've been there. I have experienced it. When I am under God's direction, my path, my words, my life expression is in agreement with His. I have no other intention for you than to see you to live and be happy and learn and connect. Imagine that level of truth that we would express when our full life experience, we can relate with each other through God's direction. Now, let's look at the second part. Let's read together. This is so nice. The second aspect that he says about himself is, I am the path, the truth, and the life. When you are in the Father, you are really the path because all paths are there. Do you see? There is no other way. The only time you can say that you are the path is when you are one with the Father. Now imagine in your mind what that means, that full integrity, that full self-confidence, that full inner joy, that the answers, the guidance is going to come, okay? In esoteric language, you are really a knower, okay? So here it is again, confidence that you are the knower. You can know, okay? You are only the path if you are united with the divinity within yourself, with the monad within yourself. When that unification comes, which is psychosynthesis, integration, and fusion with your divine self, then you are one, in at one-ment, with your divinity, with Him, through Him. Now you are becoming one with the Father within you and within the universe. And you are becoming the path because you achieved. You achieved that psychosynthesis and you achieved that cosmic synthesis. Wow. I hope you take these words and read them again and again and gain that confidence that we all need at many times in our lives. So Christ is saying he is the path. He's not dictating to us that his way is the only way. To me, he is saying, I have taken a path toward being an integrated person. I have taken a path to overcome all my personality problems. I have taken a path to overcome my traumas. In doing so, I can be an example for you. If you live by the commandments and the wisdom and the guidance that I am giving you, you will also conquer. That will be your path. It's the path of conquering. We each have particular personal issues, all of us. The way to solve them is given to us. We then apply these solutions to our life's needs and slowly overcome them in our own way. That is what's so beautiful, that all our experiences create the wisdom of humanity. They're not any different than the experiences that great ones underwent. They also lost, they also grieved, they also had to overcome, they also had to make decisions. When we overcome, we can speak from personal authority. Our life is unique, but the problems we face are faced by many. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita faces the opposites. Do I do this or that? Don't we look at that every day in our life? Shall I do this or this? Wow, it's the same problem. Great teachers, parents show us the way, and we can choose to travel that way if we establish a relationship. Okay? When we are not one with that direction, we can't have the direction on the right way. We fumble, we go back and forth on the sides of that bridge instead of getting on the bridge and traveling. Let's look at reading the next one, where it starts with synthesis. Do you see where you are? Okay, let's read together. Synthesis starts when he hooks himself to the center within him. Look at what the author is saying. Hook up with the center in you. When he is hooked, fused, and at one with the highest that is within him, he is healthy. Okay, so when we have problems, when we are suffering, find what is the highest in you. And you know, something very interesting will happen, because the highest in you is the highest in everybody. It's the highest in the great ones. It's the highest in God. Do you see what you're doing? You are hooking into that wavelength. The highest in you is the same as the highest in everything. This is so important for us to remember. Let's continue. You can see many healthy people physically, but they are not healthy mentally, or they are not healthy emotionally. When people are not healthy, you can see harmful actions coming out of them, especially their mouth. Wow. The first indication that you can see of a diseased psychology is when you catch their mouth. When they start hurting and yakking and talking about things that are not true, or even things that are true, it is degeneration. All they focus on is all the troubles in the world. All they focus on is what's wrong. You see, that's not the complete truth. That is so beautiful. So we are going to first do what? Hook ourselves to the center within us. That search alone will ask us, what is that center within me? And it's going to take deep confidence to find that center in us and say, that's the God part in me. And I'm going to trust that. Sometimes when I just see no answer coming, and I think, what am I going to do? And I just really honestly know no other way but just to sit and say, God, show me the way. I just don't know. You know, I don't know. Let's go to the next one. Christ says is that he is the truth. Can we say what I'm saying and what I'm living is the truth? This is what we should strive toward. Okay, this is so important. I am the truth. The truth for me means something that never changes. If you have something that never changes, it is truth. If you formulate any law or any formula and then 10 years later change it, it is not truth. Truth must be something that is changeless. And there is no changeless state except you unite with the Father. Changelessness is to be God conscious, a consciousness that will never change in any condition, a consciousness that will never change, will never betray, will never alternate in different conditions and situations. It is truly the light. That is why it says that God is light and there is no darkness in him. When you are one with that light, there is no darkness in you. Then you are the truth, which never changes, and that is the light. It never changes. Light is light. Don't you love that? It's so beautiful. The truth means you don't change. Look in our relationships that I spoke about, parents, grandparents, friends, spouses, mentors, teachers, that when we say something, it stays. We make a promise and a vow, it stays. And when that vow and promise is broken, it hurts, doesn't it? It hurts. Because we depend on that agreement. We set our life according to that agreement. So we need to be dependable, or don't make a promise. Don't take a vow. Of course, we make mistakes and we change, but this is the highest bar for us, that from here on, before you make a promise, before you make a big change in your life, wait, okay? Wait and look and make sure it's really right inside of you. Let's read our final quote. It's so beautiful, and it continues. Christ says, I am the life. What does to be the life means? I understand that everything is life. If everything is life, why will he be specially the life? This is my question. If the tree is alive and there is not a single atom that is not an expression of life, actually, all manifestation is a living experience. Everything is living. Why will he be the life? Good question. Okay, here's the answer. Life is the continuity of consciousness. It is the awareness that you are alive. If you are dead and your consciousness is finished, you are not alive. If you are born and you do not know what happened when you died, you are dead. Christ can say that he is the life because he has continuity of consciousness. This is a very key element that I would like you to keep in your mind, and that is the element of continuity. That we love and love continuously. It's not easy, but as we do it continuously, we will achieve continuity of consciousness. That's our goal. When we strive continuously, don't give up. When you're fighting for a righteous cause, don't give up. Keep fighting. Don't give up, ever, because you're fighting for a righteous cause. Even if nobody's with you, it may seem like nobody's with you, but who's with you? Tell me.
The angels.
Who?
And Christ.
Christ, your soul, your guardian angel. Okay? When you give continuously, not one day give and the other way, bah. Befriend and stay friends always. When you're enthused about something, stay enthused, because the fire of the God will be in you. That's enthusiasm, fire of enthusiasm. When we're cooperative, be cooperative always. Don't just get all egotistical and say, I'm not going to cooperate anymore. That doesn't work. When you start to pray and meditate, don't stop. Because when you open the faucet, the energy's coming out, and then we stop, and then boop, turn it off. Then we have to start all over again. Go to the pipe, turn the faucet on, and start reading and meditating and praying again. Keep going. When we promise, we honor our promise always. This is the power of continuity, and it's a powerful list. If you have the book, Purpose of Life, take a look at it. It's at the end of chapter 27 called The Miracle of Continuity. I've seen it in my life, and I'm sure you have seen it in your life. When you're determined and you put yourself in it, you see the result. So in summary, for part 1, next week we do part 2 of this teaching. The model presented to us by Christ and great ones is something that can guide us, that we can become soul empowered when we follow the guidance of Christ. We become true friends, true spouses, true disciples, true mentors, true parents, true grandparents. It's true, because our source is not from our ego. It's coming from something higher. And if we build a community based on this, if we build a family based on this, we will heal and grow in our life. Remember, last time we said community is so important. Family is so important, because together we demonstrate these principles. So we will be able to withstand all the challenges in our life when we commit ourselves to these beautiful teachings. How's that work for you? Works good? Let's close with 3 ohms. Close your eyes and connect yourself to your solar angel, beautiful guide in you. And just release the pain. And just say, I trust you, you will guide me, you will show me the way. Oh.